10 months on from where it all started for Steven Schumacher, Argyle, well, they're back at MK Dons. Yeah, 10 months on from that first game for Steven Schumacher up at Stadium MK. Where has the time gone? Hello, afternoon. Welcome to Argyle TV for this afternoon's game up at Stadium MK. 44 games ago, Steven Schumacher started his Argyle reign as manager, and he's not done too badly, has he, in that time since. The Greens go into this one top of the table on a tremendous unbeaten record as well. And of course, we'll be taking on an MK Dons side that shattered hopes of a playoff dream at the end of last season. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we'll bring you all of the team news, exclusive interviews and views from inside the camp. And it will all be in the company of women's captain Katie Middleton, who is with us this afternoon. And Katie, it's been a pretty incredible 10 months, hasn't it, for Steven Schumacher since that first game back at MK?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure he'll look back on it fairly fondly. He's definitely got the team playing the way he wants them to play. And, they've obviously sitting pretty at the top of the table at the moment. So he will definitely be happy with, I'm sure, even the way the end of last season went, obviously dropped off a little bit towards the end. But he's certainly left his mark on the side now and has got them doing exactly what he's wanted them to do since the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be a great occasion up there, hopefully up in Buckinghamshire. 2,500 tickets sold by Argyle supporters, pay on the day as well. And I remember being up at Stadium MK last December when there was a huge away following, and one of the fans jumped into the segregation marker in between the two, and that went viral. But it will be, they're not doing too well at the minute, but it'll be a tough game, won't it, Katie?
Yeah, definitely. And, probably a game that they go into with, the pressure being on Argyle, and, we're sitting pretty at the top of the table. They're 22nd in the league currently, and probably go into this thinking, do you know what, we've got nothing to lose. So a tricky place for Argyle to go, a draw away there last season, and I'm sure they'll be looking to go one better today.
Well, that is what we're all hoping for, isn't it? As always, you can get in touch with us this afternoon here on Argyle TV. Just drop us a message on social media at Argyle on Twitter and on Facebook, or you can leave a comment in the video on the comment section below this video on YouTube. As a couple of people have done already, but I'll get to those in a moment. Now, we'll be getting some team news from Stadium MK in just a sec. But first, let's remind ourselves of how the Greens stayed top of the table with a win over Accrington last week.
Two sides of Bali Mumba there. Brilliant feat as he beats his man and comes inside. He gives the ball away, but Edwards wins it back, and now Ennis can burst. Whittaker in space on the right if he can find him. He chooses left. Edwards gets across, cuts in the gross. Yeah! Goal for Argyle! Liam Coyle, haven't seen too much of him. He's managed to play it out towards McConville. Now a good run through the centre from Hamilton. Inside the area, Cooper didn't know if to come or not. He stays and he saves. Edwards made a great run, was unmarked. Just don't think he quite made any contact. Scar's got to win a 50-50 here, and two players diving in together. Now the referee's reaching for his pocket. What's he going to do? I do fear for Dan Scar here, just by the referee's body language. He's off. Oh, I think he sent them both off. Lonvike, Whittaker, edge of the area. No room to shoot yet. Well, he does eventually. Oh, it wasn't far away. Edwards will turn and get the ball back. We've gone to walking pace, but Argyle have the ball. Houghton is demanding it in the centre and gets it. Lonvike tries to make a run in behind and does so. Can he tee it up for Cosgrove? He's gone wide, but he's... Throws to Azaz, who heads on looking for Hardy, and did find him. Back heel from Hardy, very inventive. Cosgrove, Azaz, Edwards is in space to the left, edge of the box, takes a touch, drops it onto his right foot and shoots. It's off the ball. Coyle has stayed down, but Accrington still have the ball. His teammates want to play on because they're in a good position, and they found Delfonso. He's offside. Ball's gone in, but he's offside.
I think the reaction says everything, doesn't it? He really thought he'd scored there.
Long ball from Randall, and he's picked out Hardy. Is this the one that seals it? It is!
A comfortable scoreline for Argyle in the end. 3-0 winners. It extended their unbeaten run, kept them top of the table by a point, and, of course, maintained that 100% record at home. Today, it's a different story. Away at Milton Keynes Dons, a side who finished in the playoffs last year, finished third, had a tremendous season, but it hasn't quite gone right for them this time around. Katie and I will chat through that in just a moment. But let's have a look at the team news, shall we? The all-important stuff, really. And we'll start with Argyle. Here you go. Here's the side. 3 changes made from the team that beat Accrington. Of course, we saw Dan Scar's sending off in that game. He's out for the next 3 matches. So a bit of a reshuffle at the back needed. The changes see Adam Randall come back into the side, Finn Azaz come in from the start, and Nigel Lonvike back in at the expense of Scar, Galloway, who drops the bench, and Cosgrove similarly. Initial thoughts on the side, Katie, from you?
Yeah, so obviously a few enforced changes through suspension and some injuries. I think attacking wise, you'd be saying he's gone reasonably strong with the players he's got available. In terms of the striker, he's still got 3 fit strikers to pick from, and it's which one of those 3 does he think is going to do the best job today? I think probably the biggest changes are obviously in the back 3 this afternoon, which I'm sure we'll see Wilson drop into the centre of that back 3, slightly different to where he normally plays, and obviously Lonvike will come back in, and potentially we see Matt Butcher drop back into that back 3 with Randall coming in again. So, I'm sure changes that, like I say, have been slightly enforced and Schumacher potentially wouldn't have wanted to make, but he's obviously picked a side that he thinks can go out there and do the job still today.
Yeah, it is interesting, Kate, isn't it? Looking at who potentially will play in that back line. A couple of comments have come in on Twitter and on Facebook. Here's one from Aaron who just says 4 at the back, and you can see why he potentially thinks that. Edwards, Lonvike, Wilson and Mumba playing as the back 4, but we know Stephen Schumacher likes to play with the back 3. The other option is having Matt Butcher back there. Andy on Twitter says maybe Butcher plays in the back 3. If it is to be that way, and we're led to believe it is, how do you think Matt Butcher will do back there?
I think, a lot of his game is that defensive side of things anyway. He's not in the midfield as an attacking threat. He's there to kind of do that, the bits off the ball that potentially people don't see all the time. And, he's good at understanding where he needs to be positioning wise. He spends a lot of time dropping into that back three anyway. If players step out, he's the person normally who will, fill in those gaps at the back. So, I'm sure it'll be a different challenge for him. But, as I said, Schumacher's obviously picked him there for a reason, feels he can do a decent job. And, if that is the way they line up today, then I'm sure he'll, give his all and 100% for the cause today.
The other thing that you mentioned, Katie, was that, other than that little reshuffle at the back, the side still looks incredibly strong. And, the options that Shuey does have up top, Cosgrove started the last game and scored. Niall Ennis scored in that game. Hardy also scored in that game. He's gone for Ennis today with Whittaker and Azaz behind, but the options to potentially bring on Cosgrove and Hardy from the back, we say it every week, but it's great to have that, isn't it?
Yeah, and you, I think you look at Shuey and you think, good luck picking who you think is going to be the best person for the job today. Like you say, all three of them got on the score sheet last week and they're all looking confident. They all look like they can get you goals at different times. So, it's great to have those options, isn't it? And that all of those players fit and firing. We were saying earlier that there's nobody in the Football League at the moment, I don't think, other than Haaland, who's got a better goals to ratio than Sam Cosgrove at the moment. So he might feel a little bit hard done by to miss out again today. But, he's obviously gone for a bit more of the pace of Ennis up front and hoping that he can cause some problems in behind the MK Dons backline today.
Well, let's have a look at the MK Dons side. As I said, not in great form at the moment. Third from bottom. They lost in midweek to Bristol Rovers at home. And Liam Manning has opted to make a couple of changes. And it looks as if he's going to go for the same formation that we are going with 3-4-3. Louis Barry and Nathan Holland coming into the side. Again, looking at that, the name Dean Lewington, skipper there, Katie, he's 38 years old. Played almost 1,000 games for the club, and he's still going.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to him for still being around and managing to play games that with that much kind of behind him. But I'm sure it will probably be an opportunity for Argyle to look to exploit that area today in terms of, say, getting a bit of pace in and around him and seeing what problems they can cause. Not only Niall Ennis up front, but you've got the pace of Edwards and Mumba from each side, and then obviously Whittaker playing in behind, Finn Azaz playing in behind. So, you've got players who will definitely cause him problems today. So, interesting to see kind of how they match up against him today.
The other player that really kind of jumps out from that starting lineup is Will Grigg. Obviously had a tremendous career to date. He's got a couple of goals so far in the league this season. Will he similarly be looking at the way that maybe Ennis and Whittaker will look at Dean Lewington just because, of his age to get at him? And Will Grigg be looking at Matt Butcher if he does play at centre back and think, well, that's the link that I can maybe go for?
Yeah, I think you look at the other two playing in the back three today for Argyle with Wilson and Longvik, who have had lots of experience and have played lots of games at that level. So I'm sure Will Grigg will try to use his experience and try to match himself up against Matt Butcher as much as he possibly can. But like I say, I'm sure Matt Butcher will do a sterling job in there anyway. So it's not going to be an easy game for any of that MK Dons front three to create chances and get in on goal.
And we'll go into more depth about the two sides in a little bit, in a couple of minutes' time. Keep your comments coming in, please. Lots are doing so. Comments in there. No Danny Mayer. Yeah, he's out injured, unfortunately, at the moment. 3-1 to Argyle, says Morgan. Come on, you Greens. That's positive thinking from you. Hopefully we can see that sort of performance again today. And for Stephen Schumacher, as I mentioned, it's back to where it all started for him. 9th of December. His first game in charge, just a day after being given the job. What a 10 months it's been for him.
Yeah, I just remember being nervous. I remember having butterflies in my stomach, thrown in right at the deep end, live on Sky, I think. Yeah. Doing interviews when a lot had happened in the previous 48 hours. But I remember going into the game excited about it, nervous yet, but looking forward to the challenge. And I remember us playing okay first half, playing quite well second half, and in the end come out with a good point.
45 games later, you're going back.
Yeah.
Does it?
How many
Has it flown by? Has it?
Yeah. So
I feel like you've been in it for ages.
Yeah, speaking to someone the other day, and he said coming up to almost 12 months as the manager, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, it is. It's the middle of October. It was obviously start of December when it all kicked off. So yeah, flown by. I didn't know it was 45 games, but yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed it. Been a good roller coaster. A few highs, few lows, and yeah, just taking it each day as it comes. Still.
Yeah. Would you say? I know it's early, but like, have you from that moment to now? How much have you changed as a gaffer? Do you think, or not at all?
Every week that goes past, you get more experienced. So I think the first 6 months I was just true to myself. I stayed, how we played, the way we worked, the methods that we used. We stuck to it. We changed a few things from when obviously Ryan was in charge of how the week looked and whatever. Nothing too drastic. So yeah, enjoyed the second half of last season. Really enjoyed it, and then this season, as we spoke about and highlighted, I felt as though we had to get a bit smarter because, yeah, we all know how the last sort of 5-6 games went when we played against the top teams, MK Dons being one of them. I just I spoke about it before. Thought that my team and our team was a little bit one-dimensional, and we had to do something about it. So got to work over the summer, did something about it, and now we've got a couple of different ways to play. So yeah, I would say evolving and still continuing to learn as a manager. Yeah.
You mentioned MK last season were one of the top teams, got to the playoffs obviously. What do you put their slow start down to? Because they haven't hit the same heights yet this year, have they?
No, they haven't, and I'm really surprised to see where they are in the league because, as you said, they were third in the division last year and arguably one of the best, certainly probably the best to watch last year. I think if you look at the turnover in the players that they've had, maybe that's a reason why they've had a slower start. So quite a lot of players out. I think there was 8 out, I think, and big players as well, good players who we know about, and 13 or 14 new ones in. So that can be hard, and you see it at all levels. I think there's a Premier League team at Nottingham Forest, huge turnover of numbers, and it just takes time, I think, for players to gel. And yeah, surprised that with the start and the points that MK have managed to pick up this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get it going because Liam's a good manager and a really good coach, and I know his assistant manager, Oggy, really well as well, Chris Ogg, and yeah, I think they'll be working really hard to try and put it right, and I'm sure they will.
Stephen Schumacher there speaking to me earlier in the week, and Katie, every time I speak to him, I find him incredibly impressive because you can tell he's thinking about a lot of things. And even in that little clip, he's spoken about how he realised the side needed a bit of a change, a different way of playing to be able to compete against those top sides. And the proof has been in what we've seen so far this season, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure he wouldn't have wanted to take over and it just be, this is Ryan Lowe's setup and I'm just going to carry on with what's been going on. He's wanted to make changes and he's wanted to put his own stamp on things. And like you said, it's, the proof's in the pudding at the moment, isn't it? That we're sitting top of the table and he's got the lads playing in a style that he wants them to play in and, is getting the best out of players. And I think, that comes probably from him as a man as much as him as a football coach. So he's doing a great job and has done a great job in the 10 months that he's been the boss here at Argyle.
He mentioned that he's been surprised by MK Dons' form, and if you look at it, they've lost 8 games this season. They lost 9 in total in the whole of last season. They finished third. They were, one of the best teams in the league. Beat us 5-0 at Owen Park on the final day as well. Now, a lot of players have left. You look at like Scott Twine, who got 20 plus goals last season. He's left. Harry Darling has gone to the Championship. David Kasumu, one of their big midfielders, who's like the engine room, disappeared as well. He went in the summer. So it would obviously be a bit of a rebuild. But you look at their squad and they still have very good players in there. What do you kind of put the start down to?
Yeah, I think potentially it's that kind of building blocks and having time to get 14 potentially new players, working together. And it's all well and good having good individual players, but how well they can play together as a team is almost more important. So, they'll definitely aren't where you would expect them to be this season, having only picked up, I think, 10 points out of their 12 games so far. So
does that make them more dangerous? The fact that they have had kind of, they're going to click at any stage.
Yeah, and I think, like we say, they've potentially got a point to prove, and we don't want to remember the end of last season where they came down here and turned us over 5-0. And I mean, in every department, probably that day they were better than us. So, things have changed since then, and obviously different players have come and gone for both sides. But they're almost like a wounded animal, aren't they? Sat down the foot of the table, and at some point something potentially will change, and you don't want that to be today as an Argyle fan. So they're going to come out and they've got to go for it today. And I think Liam Manning has said in his press conferences during the week that they've got nothing to lose today, and he wants them to come out and be brave and be attacking. And I think that's the kind of team we'll see from them today.
Yeah, we'll hear from Liam Manning in just a moment's time. A couple of comments coming on in. Please keep them coming in as well at Argyle on social media, or drop a comment in the video below on YouTube. Here's Steve, who says, I so wish football was that simple, but anything other than a win would be disappointing. So going for an MK Dons 1, Plymouth 3, fingers crossed. And that kind of echoes what a lot of football fans will think. You heard it before the Accrington game last weekend, which is it would be the most Argyle thing to not win this game. But having said that, this Argyle team have proven that they, can just keep going. They have different ways of playing. They have players in form. They seem to have the right mentality.
Yeah, and I think potentially in previous years, that's something we haven't had, is that ability to win games potentially when you're not playing very well, or the games that are scrappy, they're tight at the end. I think everybody this season, even if you're going into the last maybe 5 or 10 minutes of a game and potentially we're not on top, the belief is there this year that actually anything can happen in those, final moments of a game. And we've proven that time and time again this season. And, yes, you'd expect potentially Argyle to go to MK today and win, but, anything can happen. It's a case of picking up points no matter how you're playing. And I think that's something that Argyle have been really good at this season. There have been games where we've played fantastic football and got the ball down, but there have been games where it's been really scrappy and we've gone and won. So I think it shows that there's that ability to change things up, mix things up, and still get the same result at the end of it, which 9 times out of 10 this season has been 3 points.
Yeah, that's exactly what this comment here says from PTWFC. We have the squad depth and the players who can come off the bench and score and make a change in the final moments. Exactly what you were saying, Katie. It's been a great month, obviously. Great start to the season for Argyle. Their best start to a season since 1926, which is absolutely remarkable. A win today would make it, after 14 games, the best start. And then you kind of start thinking, when does a start not become a start anymore? But it has been great. Accolades have been flying in as well for players and management teams alike. Stephen Schumacher won the Sky Bet League One Manager of the Month for September. Morgan Whittaker won the Player of the Month for September. And Bali Mumba won the EFL Young Player of the Month for September as well.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Bali, you're smiling. You haven't been able to stop smiling since you were told that you were the EFL's Young Player of the Month across the entire EFL. How does it feel to get that accolade and have the trophy in your hands?
Delighted, honestly, delighted. Feels incredible. I've said it before, a lot of young players have won this award, and for it to be across the entire EFL, it's just an incredible feeling. Something that I wouldn't think, I'll be able to do and able to get, but I have it now and I just can't stop smiling.
How have you been so good? What's your secret?
I think it's just enjoying my football, you know, playing with a smile on the pitch. I feel like when I'm doing that, that's when I think I play my best football. I have to enjoy what I'm doing, and here I'm enjoying it, and you know, and it's helping me sort of produce and have good performances. So I think, yeah, secret's probably just play with a smile on my face.
It's clear that you are enjoying it, as you say there. The smile is always on your face when you're playing. And is that, why is it that you feel that you're enjoying your football here? What is it about Argyle? What is it about this team?
It's just
bringing the best out of you?
It's everything about it. The fans, you know, the manager, the staff. You know, the most important thing for me is trust. So the manager is, you know, he showed that he can trust me, you know, and the belief that he has in me. So for me, it's just a way of repaying back that trust is by performing, putting in performances, you know, enjoying my football, which I'm trying to do. You know, so yeah, it's just there's nothing for me to sort of be mad over, but apart from just enjoy the time that I'm having right now and the experience that I'm getting and the opportunities, and trying to repay back with performances.
Have you got a spot for it?
No, I don't have a I don't have a spot yet, but I'm gonna create space. Definitely.
Like by the bed, so you can always see it whenever you wake up.
Yeah, I think this one I might move my PlayStation out the way.
Oh, that's a big accolade.
Nah, this one will probably go near my PlayStation, just so I can sort of see it every time when I'm sort of playing or something like that. So yeah.
Quiz question for you all. How many times did you say the word smile, Katie?
Loads. Lots, yeah. You know, he's. I think one of the big things in football is confidence, isn't it? And I think the staff and the rest of the players have, you know, created this vibe amongst the players that, you know, everyone's playing with that confidence. And as Bali Mumba said there, it's all about that enjoyment of the game. And you know, when your team's doing well, you enjoy what you're doing. And he's obviously reaping the rewards of that. And fair play to him. I think a fully deserved award that he's picked up.
And knowing Bali, if he makes room for it by his PlayStation or getting his PlayStation out of the way, that means a lot to him. It absolutely does. Anyway, another tremendous accolade for the Argyle squad. Shows how well we're playing at the moment, and hopefully it can continue again this afternoon up in Buckinghamshire against MK Dons. We've got plenty more to come. We're about half an hour away from kickoff. Stay with us, because coming up next, we chat to the skipper, Joe Edwards.
Ball in, good goal, progress into the second division.
You're watching Argyle TV, where we are building up to Plymouth Argyle's trip to MK Dons in Sky Bet League One. It's been a good week if you are an Argyle fan. Obviously, top of the table, flying high, accolades and awards coming in, but also the skipper has signed a new long-term deal.
What's not to love? Do you know what I mean? It's a fantastic to play football. The place to be is amazing. So I mean, the infrastructure we've got here is really good. So for me, yeah, it is something where I do love coming into work every day and playing. And like I said, since I've signed, we've had success. We've had a promotion. We've had a good season last year where we just missed out, and then we started well again this year. So listen, it's been a successful spell, and something that I can't wait to extend and keep going and keep improving.
151 games, 17 goals, quite a few assists. You've played here more than you've played anywhere else in your career as well. Why do you think that is?
Like I said, success comes with that a little bit. Do you know what I mean? We did get promoted in the first year, which helped, and we've done well. But I feel like the connection I've had with not just the club itself, but the people around it and the fans and things like that, it's just really felt like home since I signed here. I said my family has settled down here, and do you know what I mean? It's a really happy place for us to be. So that's coincided with me playing football and enjoying it and doing well. And there probably should have been a few more goals on that list from this season, but I'll hopefully be adding to that. And like I said, hopefully there's many more games to come.
Obviously, you're at the peak of your powers playing-wise, but I know you've got a nod towards coaching, and you're going through some badges at the moment. I think this deal is going to help get you through a couple of the next kind of stages above you. That's the plan, is it? Continue playing as long as possible, and then look to that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. At some point in a player's career, unfortunately, your legs don't sort of go with your mind, and it comes to an end at some point. But for me, this contract's about playing and keep improving and doing what we've been doing so far, and trying to have as much success on the pitch. I know in the future you have to look at other things, and for me, like I said, my passion's football. My passion's working with people and players, and the club are giving me a fantastic opportunity to do so alongside my playing time. And like I said, hopefully in the years to come I'll be part of the Argyle furniture, and do you know what I mean, it's something I can pay back the help they've given me off the pitch.
Just finally, what does being captain and signing a new long-term contract at the club you're captain of mean to you?
Yeah, I've mentioned it many times, I'm sure I have in interviews. It's a really special feeling. Every day being captain of this club is a proud moment for me, but like I said, leading the team out at the moment in a packed home park, and I mean, the atmospheres we're getting at the moment is nothing I've heard before. So it's everything to me. My family love it down here. They're so happy being here and being part of this club, and for me it's just the same. So yeah, I'm really proud and I'm really excited for the future.
Great news, wasn't it? Joe Edwards with us until the summer of 2025. Katie, he just gets better and better, doesn't he, really?
Yeah, he's kind of everything about the club, really, isn't he, at the moment? And he's kind of the leader of the pack, and his performances on the pitch, I think he drives everyone forwards, and he's got that will to win all the time, isn't he? And wants to keep bettering himself. And you know, it's great that he's shown his commitment towards the club, and hopefully we get another good few seasons out of him yet.
Yeah, I mean, it is remarkable that, you know, you think of the stuff that he's done in his career, and he got promoted to the Championship with the Oval, and went through kind of the leagues with them and played a couple of seasons up there. And for him to say that this is the best period of his footballing career, I think says a lot for what the club is at the moment.
Yeah, and we've mentioned it previously as well, and it's not just about what the players are doing on the pitch, it's that whole kind of infrastructure and the way the club's run currently from top to bottom. And you know, the players are obviously reaping the rewards of that at the moment, and I guess more so the fans are reaping the rewards of that, because they're getting to watch a team that are, you know, playing good football, and the buzz is back around the city and around the ground for sure. So it's great to hear Joe talk, you know, well of the club, and like I say, hopefully, you know, that success they can keep building on, and it doesn't just stop here.
From someone who's captained aside to Joe Edwards, a captain, what is it that you see in him that makes him such a good leader, do you think?
I think it's that kind of leading by example. You know, the other players obviously trust what he does and what he gives you, and you know, he plays with that pride, and it obviously shows when he pulls on that shirt how much he enjoys playing for Plymouth Argyle. And you know, I was exactly the same when I captained the women's side. You know, for us, it's about pride and pulling on that shirt every time, and you know, being a role model for the other younger players that are around you. And I think Joe is great at that. And he, you know, you looked at the younger players that are playing at the moment, and the likes of, you know, Adam Randall, Finn Azaz, those kinds of players, they'll be looking up to him and, you know, trying to feed off that energy that he gives. And I'm sure he will kind of put an arm around those kinds of players and be trying to get the best out of them as well as getting the best out of himself. So yeah, I think he's a great player to have around the side, and if he keeps performing like he is at the moment, then even better.
Well, talking of performing, he did mention about the fact that he hasn't scored yet this year. I wasn't going to bring it up in the interview, but he did it himself. And It was one of his big things in the last couple of years, wasn't it? Grabbing goals, grabbing important goals. Wouldn't be a bad time to sort of cap off signing that new deal with a goal today, would it?
Yeah, he's one of those players who kind of, he's not the biggest person on the pitch, is he? But he gets in there at the right time, and timing of his runs is really good. And he's just got that little bit of belief that he's the one who'll get himself on the end of something. So I'm sure he'll be disappointed currently. He's had a few probably decent opportunities to get on the score sheet so far this season and hasn't quite managed it. So no time like the present to turn that around and grab a goal today.
Absolutely, Joe. You heard it here first. Score to cap off your great week, signing a brand new contract. Super stuff. Keep your comments coming in, please, at Argyle on social media, or just drop a comment in the comment section below. We'll read them out just before kickoff on your thoughts ahead of today's game. But coming up next, we'll recap the team news again. You're watching Argyle TV. We're just over 20 minutes away from kickoff at Stadium MK for the Greens trip to Milton Keynes Dons, hoping to keep up their unbeaten run at the moment and stay top of the League One table. Reminder that if you're overseas and watching us right now, you can stream the game live on Argyle TV for just £10. If you live in the UK, then you can follow it also on Argyle TV with audio commentary. Will cost you just £2.50. All the details are on our website, pafc.co.uk, and just click on the Argyle TV tab for all of your available streaming options. We'll bring you the game live, of course, as we do every single week. Katie Middleton, the former Argyle women's captain, is still with me, and we'll have a little look through the team news then. Again, a quick reminder for this afternoon's match. There's the Argyle lineup for you. 3 changes made by Stephen Schumacher for this one from the win against Accrington last weekend. Nigel Lonvike, Adam Randall and Finn Azaz coming in for Brendan Galloway, Sam Cosgrove and Dan Scarr, of course, who's serving the first of his 3-match suspension. We spoke earlier on, Katie, about how the back line might look and how it's shaping up and the changes that are made back there. But one of the big positives, I think anyway, in recent weeks is the form of Jordan Houghton. He's come on in games and made a real impact, made a difference. He started against Accrington and played an unbelievable ball through for Lonvike to set up Cosgrove's goal. And, he was one of the first names on the team sheet last year and hasn't had the opportunity to play every single week this time around. But maybe that's just given him another little push if he needed it to up his performances. And he's been absolutely tremendous. And, of course, he's going back to his old team today as well.
Yeah, I think he's one of those players who, like you said, would have definitely been one of the first names on the team sheet at the end of last season, but probably didn't hit the heights at the start of this season that you would expect him to be. He was a little bit sloppy in possession. That's what Jordan's game is all about, is getting on the ball, bouncing the ball off, getting people involved in the game. And he wasn't able to do that in the early parts of the season. But I think in the last few weeks, you've started to see that, the Jordan Houghton of last season, who can make a massive difference to this Argyle lineup. And he brings you that little bit of experience, a little bit more of a calm head potentially when you need it the most. And when he's potentially playing in there with some of those younger players around him, that experience is invaluable to just get a foothold in games. And we know he's got the quality to be able to go and pass the ball around and create opportunities. And that's what we're starting to see more of now, and hopefully he can continue to build on that over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, if you've got a midfield of Adam Randall, who's having a tremendous season, Matt Butcher has, of course, come in this year and has added sort of a bit of defensive solidity in there. But if you've got, Adam Randall at the top of his game and Jordan Houghton, I mean, there's not many better combinations potentially in this league.
No, and I think fair play to Adam Randall this season. He potentially didn't get that many opportunities last year to show what he can do, but he's grasped this opportunity this season with both hands, and rightly so has been rewarded with lots of starts and lots of game time, because I think he's another player who you can rely on to give you an option on the ball and to maybe keep things simple, just get the ball moving, and he's got that little bit of tenacity in there as well, hasn't he, to go and win the ball back and break things up. And like I say, I think the combination of Randall and Houghton, or as it has been Randall and Butcher, has been probably part of the building blocks as to why we've done so well so far this season. So it's great again that those options are there, and Shuey's got those decisions to make week in, week out.
The other thing to mention as part of this team sheet is Finlay Crask on the bench for Argyle, recalled from Yeovil in the week. So he's adding a little bit of defensive stability in there. So it'll be interesting to see how much he kind of plays over the next couple of weeks, if he does at all. But good to see him on there with obviously Jenkins-Davis still playing so well. Let's head across to Stadium MK, shall we? Rob McNichol is in position. He is in one of the best grounds, I think, in the league. It's unbelievable, Rob. How is it up there at the moment?
Yeah, it's pretty good, Charlie. It's pretty good. It's obviously there is one section of the ground which is filling up a little bit more than the rest, if I'm perfectly honest, because we're expecting 2,500 Argyle fans in there. It's away in the corner that way, as far as I'm looking at the moment. They're already making a fair bit of noise over the very heavy rock, or at least quite a rocky music output here. Two separate AC/DC efforts, so that's a whole lot of Rosie. But they won't be able to drown out the Argyle fans once the game actually starts.
Yeah, I've seen somewhere that are the Argyle fans split? They're not all in one big cluster, or are they? Well,
no, it's fairly well one cluster. There's someone. Okay. The Argyle fans are the only ones on the upper deck in that particular corner. There's a second tier, but they're broadly in the same corner, underneath one of the screens in the corner of the ground.
Just finally, Rob, because we can hear that it is building there, the atmosphere. We have been talking a lot about this being Shuey going back, the manager going back to where it all started 10 months ago. Who would have thought, that 10 months on, 45 games, that he'd be leading a side that's top of League One? I mean, it's just been a remarkable start to his managerial career, hasn't it?
It has, and not just the position, but the manner. I think literally 12 months ago today, I think we were top of the league, but we'd played more games than others. We perhaps hadn't played the same standard of opposition. There are lots of other things to mention about that. No, it's an incredible start to the season. I'm really pleased for Shuey, the way that he's gone about it and done it. And today is one of those days with so many narratives, as I'm sure you've touched on already. You've got not only Stephen Schumacher coming back to the site of his first game, but obviously we know what happened in the last game of the season. And just before I came on with you on the screens that are above me, I was almost shielding my eyes not to see them playing the highlights from the end of last season. But we have seen those in the ground. But if the players wanted any more motivation, I thought it was really interesting that Bali Mumba talked in our press call this week about wanting to get one over Milton Keynes. And it was like, Bali wasn't even here. And he's obviously talked about it and heard about it. So it will be the kind of thing that stings in players' minds a little bit. So hopefully, I don't like using the word revenge as far as football goes, but hopefully some of those memories are quelled a little bit today.
Brave move from MK Dons to play that when the players are out on the pitch, it's got to be said. Yeah, maybe it will just add a little bit more fuel. Thanks very much, Rob, as always. Enjoy the game. And yeah, you can see all of Rob's work this afternoon on our Twitter feed at Argyle following the game, bring you all the reaction afterwards as well. We've just got time to sneak in a quick chat with the MK Dons manager, Liam Manning, who was speaking ahead of today's game.
We're in a tough period. No one's hiding from that. No one wants to be in this position. So the biggest thing is sticking together. And again, I think it's twofold, right? I think the players also have to give the players something to support, but I think the supporters can play a big part in, lifting the players and actually, giving them a boost, giving them some confidence by, getting behind them for sustained periods. So, hey, it's twofold. My message to the players ultimately is control what we can control. So we can't control what the fans are going to do. What we can do is, make sure that we show the actions and behaviours that we know that people want to see. So that is around being brave. It is around energy and intensity. It's around competing. And it's around trying to be positive with your actions. So, hey, for me, it's, it's about the players controlling their actions and taking responsibility for what they're doing on the pitch. And my thing is can the fans get behind the players to give them that extra lift, which when it's 0-0 for long periods, that noise, that momentum does play a part.
And onto Plymouth then, and how football works. Last season MK Dons go to Plymouth, absolutely tear them apart, and this season Plymouth has started well. It started last season very well as well, to be fair, but they've started incredibly well, and MK Dons are in the bottom four. It's amazing how football pans out, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Stephen's done a great job there, to be fair, when you look at the transition. But again, I think what supports where they're at is, if you look at it's a consistent team from last season. There's no major drastic changes. Personnel, the lineup's very consistent, which just helps in terms of hitting the ground running this season. People know their roles, people know their jobs, and fair play to him. He's got them in a really good place where they're quite clear on what they are. So I think it's one of those. They're doing really well. And obviously we're having a tough time, so the expectation will be on them. I think that's the the big thing in terms of nobody would be expecting us to get anything from the game tomorrow. So I think it's it's a great opportunity for us to go into the game and bring us, go and be positive, go and be brave, go and try and change the momentum of how we're playing at the minute.
Ian Manning there on today's game. Just a quick run through their side then for this afternoon. They've made a couple of changes from the defeat in midweek to Bristol Rovers, bringing on two forwards, Louis Barry and Nathan Holland, coming in for Matt Smith, and Coyote up top, Dean Lewington into his 850th odd game or something for MK Dons. And just a quick look as well at the other games taking place around League One this afternoon. All eyes, of course, from an Argyle point of view, will be on Ipswich Town. They're at home to Lincoln today. And other games in there to look out for: big clash, Wickham against Peterborough, two sides that will be wanting to be up at the top at the end of the season. And Bolton entertain Barnsley as well. We'll bring you all of these scores at halftime and again at full time here on Argyle TV. But that is pretty much it from Katie and myself. We'll be heading upstairs to do some commentary on this afternoon's game. A reminder that if you're overseas and wanting to watch a game, you can. £10 it will cost you to stream it on Argyle TV. If you live in the UK, then it'll be audio commentary for just £2.50. All of the options are available for you on our website, paoc.co.uk. Click on the Argyle TV tab, and you can find your details there. But Argyle at MK Dons, well, it's coming up next.